Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Dash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children that they're keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, this is an article I had seen earlier today. I knew when I seen it, I was going to do a video on it. And it says, fertility president, Trump has demanded a baby boom. And Stanford researchers have a solution. Let more people work from home. Here it is. You got Trump calling himself the fertility president, which is hilarious within itself. But then it said he has demanded a baby boom. With the economy the way it is, man, this is hilarious. This is very funny. And then it says Donald Trump holding two babies in his arms leans over to kiss. Well, it's supposed to say one on the head. And she, you already know how these Edomites get down, especially with these files, these Epstein files coming out. The motherfuckers might be on the menu, you know. But it says, in the early days of his second term, President Donald Trump has worded to crack the code on America's fertility drop and reverse falling birth rates. Now, first and foremost, before we even dive deeper into this, we're gonna get the truth of it, the truth of the matter. We know who birth rates are falling. Let me just pull it up real quick. See, here it is. Yes, white births. I just typed in, are white births declining? Yes, white birth rates in the U.S. have been declining, with the number of births for the white population dropping by 17% between 2010 and 2023. That's 13 years. Between 13 years, they dropped 17%. This trend, marked by a 6.7% decline from 2019 to 2023, has resulted in a natural decrease where deaths among the white population have outnumbered births since 2016. So they dying more than they being born. That's why he calling for a baby boom, because they understand. They know this. They know this. They ain't, look, this ain't about America for everybody. This ain't about everybody. This is about Esau. He talking about a baby boom for his people. And it ain't gonna happen, you know, because at the end of the day, Jake, you know, Jake gonna make it happen. But Esau, they dying. And these curses are taking them out. A lot of these curses are starting to come on these Edomites, and they can't handle it, you know. And we starting to see it. Decline in birth rates, guarantee you that's it's coming from a multitude of things. As you know, you see a lot of violence go on and a lot of it's not getting reported, but a lot of violence go on in these Edomite communities and amongst Esau in general. You know, they remember, this is the wicked. These people are extremely wicked. So don't let it fool you that they in their kingdom or whatever. They still are subject under, well, they still have their nature is still to be wicked. And what comes from wickedness or sin? Death. Now it says total decline. The number of white births fell by over 10% between 1999 and 2016. Damn. A trend that accelerated after the 2008 recession. It says birth for white women continued to fluctuate with a 2.9% decline in 2023. Now it says the falling birth rates combined with an aging demographic and increased mortality, which means increased death, mean the white population is experiencing overall decline, with predictions it could become a minority by 2045. See? It says in many states, white deaths already exceed white births, driven by a lower fertility rate between 2.1 and fewer children. This decline is largely attributed to fewer births, an aging population and the baby boomer generation entering older age brackets. Right, so I think this is this is newer. It says white births now make up less than half of all U.S. newborns. You see, white births have fallen again in the U.S. as the total number of births also fell across the nation. The nation's number of white births fell from 52.6% in 2016 to 49.6% in 2024, tipping below 50%. So a lot of these Edomites, they starting to drop off, So going back to the article, that's why Trump is calling for a baby boom. And he's calling for it for his own people. Like I said, Jake gonna make it happen. Jake ain't falling off. You see, they ain't talking about Jake. Jake gonna make it happen. Now it says in the early days of his second term, President Donald Trump has worked to crack the code on America's fertility drop and reverse falling birth rates, describing himself as the fertilization president. The pronatalist Trump has reportedly floated everything from doing out 5,000 checks, $5,000. Hold on. It says floated everything from doling out $5,000 checks, Salakia, to mothers after delivery, to awarding a national medal of motherhood to mothers with at least 6 children, to lowering the cost of vitro fertilization, IVF, drugs. We want more babies, to put it nicely, Trump said at a Michigan event in October. Future of work experts have a different idea. They found evidence that one way to boost lagging fertilization is to cut commuters and have people work remotely. A new study led by Stanford University. See, there's no reason why you have to do a study on what would make people have more children. But that's how you know this man's kingdom is declining. His birth rates is falling off. His women are going towards the Israelites. Edomite women are coming to the Israelites. A lot of Edomite women are favoring and openly showing that they want Israelite men from all tribes, mainly, the Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, because that's what they're around the most, mainly Southern Kingdom. That's what they're around the most, as a lot of Latin tribes are in, their own land. But nevertheless, they want Israelite men, and they're showing that. So even because they don't account for what they would call mixed babies in this article. They ain't account for a white woman having birth to a Israelite man or a man of another nation. They wouldn't even consider that as an Israelite. A white baby. They know this. Trust me. They understand. It takes an Edomite man to make Edomite children. They understand that. So with their women, that's the real truth. With their women, because this is all a part of curses. Their women wanted Israelite men, and their men having not only just their men having less children, but having less opportunities to create a family dynamic so that they can create a family, less the jobs available, or they're losing jobs, or they have a job, it's not paying enough to be able to sustain living, and then on top of that, the Edomite women, like I said, they want Jake. That's how it is. They always wanted the Israelite man. Really, the women of the earth always typically wanted the Israelite man, because the Israelite men are the superior race of men on the earth. So that leaves a lot of Edomites without. And it's so many factors that go into this, but this just to name a few. So I'm not going to read the whole article, I might just skip around. It says fertility rates in the U.S. dropped to an all-time low in 2024, according to federal data, with fewer than 1.6 children per woman, part of a global pattern of plummeting fertility. It is largely a result of people getting married later, in addition to fear about the state of the economy and financial stability, which is some of the things I just said. The Congressional Budget Office warned last month that by 2030, for the first time in modern history, more Americans will die than be born, leaving immigrants as the only source of population. See, they call it Israelites immigrants. The Northern Kingdom, they calling them immigrants. But what the truth of the matter is, Jake gonna make it work. Jake gonna make it happen. Jake ain't gotta worry about that. And we got we up next. The kingdom is finna be established. Look, it's gonna be a baby boom. It's gonna be a baby boom for Jake, because it's gonna be a lot of our people that do get destroyed. But it's gonna be a baby boom. You ain't gotta worry about that, Trump. It's gonna be a baby, and don't worry about it. Y'all Edomites, y'all gonna be able to have children, because we need slaves and workers in the kingdom of heaven. It says, but Trump has actively tried to thwart immigration, and consequently, economists have warned of negative net migration, leading to labor shortages, less consumer spending, and shrinking GDP growth. Let me read this one. It says, researchers see increasing work from home opportunities as a balm of falling fertility rates and future economic woes associated with them for reasons beyond just couples spending more time together. You can't get pregnant by email is the classic quote. Bloom told Fortune, remote work makes planning childcare easier, and prospective parents can save money on commuting and housing, as they may not have to abide by moving to a place within a certain radius of their respective offices. But you done destroyed order. First and foremost, you got all these people, all these women out of order with the mindset of feminism, because best believe they feel under the collateral damage that you've done. You tried to push that on Jake, and get Jake women out of order, which you did successfully, but you didn't consider the collateral damage. Now your women is the same, they're under the same effects. And then, not to mention, you took so much power away from the man that you really was targeting the Israelite man, but you didn't consider the collateral damage. The collateral damage. Let me get that. He that dig up a pit shall fall into it. Let's get that real quick. Let me get it in that. Was it 8? What was it? 10 and 8. This is Ecclesiastes 10 and 8. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whosoever breaketh a hedge, a serpent shall bite him. And in the AMP it says, he who digs a pit for others may fall into it, and a serpent may bite him who breaks through a wall of stone. So he that diggeth a pit shall fall into it. Here it is. You set all these traps for Jake, and now your own people have fallen into the same traps that you set for our people. But there's hope for us. That's what the elect is. The elect is a symbol of hope from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, that remnant. Because through the elect, the nation will be able to survive and continue to build. Like I said, there's going to be a baby boom in the kingdom of heaven for the nation of Israel. This is I'm gonna get this real quick. Isaiah 60 and 22. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in this time. This goes goes in conjunction with Isaiah 4:1, which Isaiah 4:1 is going to happen on this side, and it's going to and the idea of Isaiah 4:1, which many women, because 7 just goes into a complete number. So the number is going to vary from situation to situation, but it's going into a man having more than one wife, how the Lord created it. And that concept is going to continue well on into the kingdom of heaven till forever. You know, men are going to have multiple wives. And even with one wife, what happens? Reproduction. So a man having multiple wives, what do you think is going to happen? Reproduction. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of sex and a lot of child bearing in the kingdom of heaven. I'm going to get that too. One more point from that. It's 1 Timothy chapter 1. It's like in 1 Timothy 2:15. It says, notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. So, like I said, she should be saved in childbearing. Women are going to be needed in the kingdom of heaven to bring back a nation, you know, and to build a family dynamic too, because it's not just about popping out children and that's all you're good for. You know, women have a perfect purpose that Yahweh Shem Mashiach created you for, you know, and you are very important in the family dynamic. But for the specific, you know, going into the specific point of the topic, childbearing is definitely a major part of your purpose. So that's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven. There will be a baby boom, you know, but you Edomites ain't going to be on the good side of that, you know, because again, these other nations, they're going to have to reproduce so that they don't die off, because we're going to have slaves in the kingdom of heaven. We're going to have people who build up our kingdom. So they're going to have to reproduce as well, you know. But the baby booming is going to be for the Israelites, you know. It's going to be for the Israelites, you know. Let me go back to the article. Let me see. So this is going into some of the things that, let's see, it says, increasing remote work opportunities is also a cheaper solution to implement than cash incentive proposed by the Trump administration, according to Bloom. So they basically said, look, you can work from home and save money that way. We ain't giving you no money. And they think that that's going to encourage people to have more children, you know? It says Lending Tree data from 2025 reveals it costs nearly $300,000 to raise a child until age 18 in the U.S. And that number look low, you know, especially with this economy. That number is extremely low. And a United Nations report found one-time payments to new parents generally isn't enough of an incentive to meaningfully increase fertility rates. Look at it, it says Black Americans being paid reparations. EU can't pay, so they trying to come with all these different traps. It's like all these different traps. It says, I don't think it's realistic. Karen Benjamin Guzzo, director of the Carolina Population Center at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, told PBS to think that any amount of money that the government could plausibly give out would be enough to really address the cost of raising a child. Absolutely. You know, that's why the Lord had it set up to where we would you were self-sustaining. And you had situations where Jake would go and work for other Israelites, you know, but just think about how it was with Jacob and his, Leah, Rachel, and Laban. Jacob worked 7 years just to have the opportunity, well, not to have the opportunity, to have Rachel, He worked 7 years under Laban, and during that 7-year period, he was building wealth, Now, he married Leah first, and then a week later, he got Rachel, but he had to work another 7 years in order to really just, pay off his debt, quote unquote, which he had already paid it off righteously. And Laban was the one that was wicked. But, it was the Lord did it that way so Jacob can be self-sustaining, because Jacob built a great deal of wealth. And I get that and then end it off. I think it's like Genesis 33. Okay, probably 32. 31. Let's see. And it was a baby boom right here for Jacob when he got with it started when he first married Leah. When he got with Leah and Rachel, that's when the baby boom started. Let's see. I'm gonna start at 25. Genesis 30:25 in the AMP. Now, when Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away, that I may go back to my own place and to my own country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know the work which I have done for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your sight, stay with me, for I have learned from the omens in divination and by experience that the Lord has blessed me because of you." Now, you see what it said. It said he learned from omens and divination and by experience. Divination and witchcraft, sorcery. It says, he said, "Name your wages and I will give it to you." Jacob answered him, "You know how I have served you and how your possessions, your cattle, your sheep and goats have fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased and multiplied abundantly, and the Lord has favored you with blessings wherever I turned. But now when shall I provide for my own household?" See, that was a part of our culture. We provided for your own household. You were self-sufficient, basically like kind of like an entrepreneur. You had your own thing going. We didn't go and just work at somebody else's company and build a company up, and then you come back home with scraps. That's not how this system's supposed to work. But that's how Esau Edom got it up, for the rich to stay rich and the poor to stay poor. And all that's coming to an end too. But we had our own thing. We did our own business. And of course you had Israelites that went and worked for other Israelites. Don't get me wrong. That definitely was always a thing. But you were capable of building your own and providing your own for your own household. What Laban had Jacob doing, he was trying to have Jacob just work for him and build up his household, and Jacob didn't establish his own. That's what he was that's what he was telling them. Like, look, I need to go establish my own. I got wives, I got children, I got my own family that I need to provide for. Now it says, Laban asked, "What shall I give you?" Jacob replied, "You shall not give me anything, but if you would do this one thing for me, which I now propose, I will again pasture and keep your flock. Let me pass through your entire flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep and every dark or black one from among the lambs, and the spotted and the speckled among the goats, and those shall be my wages. So my honesty will be evident for me later when you come for an accounting concerning my wages, everyone that is not spotted, speckled, and spotted among the goats and dark among the young lambs, if found with me, shall be considered stolen. And Laban said, Good, let it be done as you say. So on the same day, Laban secretly removed the male goats that were streaked and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that with white on it, and all the dark ones among the sheep, and put them in the care of his sons. And he put a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob was there left in the care of the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took branches of fresh poplar and almond and plane trees and peeled white strips in them, exposing the white in the branches. Then he set the branches. Well, I'm gonna jump down. Well, never mind. I need to keep going. It says, Then he set the branches which he had peeled in front of the flocks in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, and they mated and conceived when they came to drink. So the flocks mated and conceived by the branches, and the flocks gave birth to streaked, speckled, and spotted offspring. And that was the Lord's doing, because he saw what Laban was trying to do. Laban was trying to keep Jacob there. So the Lord set it up to where the best of the flock came out streaked and spotted, and the worst of them was the ones that looked normal. It says Jacob separated the lambs as he had done with the peeled branches. He made the flocks face toward the street, and all the dark or black in the new flock of Laban. And he put his own herds apart by themselves, and did not put them where they could breed with Laban's flock. Which I'm not gonna keep going, but even the animals are gonna have a boom, Even the animals is gonna have a quote unquote baby boom in the kingdom of heaven. Everything that we own, everything that we have is going to be fruitful. I ended on that. I got the wrong chapter. It's Deuteronomy chapter 28. Starting at verse 4. In the AMP, the offspring of your body going into your children, and the produce of your ground, and the offspring of your animals, the offspring of your herd, and the young of your flock will be blessed. The Lord said, everything that you do, everything that you own, everything that you put your hands on, or that you purpose to do, it's gonna be blessed. I'm gonna bless it. I'm gonna make it work. And that's also repeated here in Deuteronomy 30. I'm gonna get 7 first. In the AMP, the Lord your God will inflict all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate you, who have persecuted you. Because the Lord also said in Deuteronomy 28, just like it made him happy, to make us multiply and grow. He also made us decrease and decline. Now the same thing is happening to these Edomites. Let me get it. I don't forget how it's worded, so I could just find a direct verse. Never mind. Deuteronomy 28:63. And it shall come to pass in the AMP, it shall come about that just as the Lord delighted over you to make you prosper and multiply, so us to grow and boom, so the Lord will delight over you to bring you to ruin and destruction, and you will be uprooted violently from the land which you are entering to possess it. Now this is coming on these Edomites. They're decreasing in birth rates. It's coming on these Edomites. They not multiplying, and that's why Trump's trying to call for a baby boom, and nothing he can do or say, or nothing that these Edomites can do or say is gonna change that. Then we get one more precept. Let me see where it's at. It's in Deuteronomy 30. I get 9. I read 9 too. It says, then the Lord your God in the AMP shall make you abundantly prosperous in everything that you do, in the offspring of your body, which is your children, and in the offspring of your cattle, and in the produce of your land. For the Lord will again delight over you for good, just as he delighted over your fathers. So just like it said in Deuteronomy 28, he delighted over us once to multiply us and see us grow. And he's going to delight over us again. This is what we coming into. So the opposite of that is for people to see people come to ruin. And that's what these Edomites are starting to experience. They're coming to ruin and destruction. Is one more scripture verse in this chapter that I was looking for. I'll read verse 16. It says, in that I command you today to love your God, love the Lord your God, to walk, that is, to live each and every day in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, precepts, so that you will live and multiply, and that the Lord your God will bless you in the land which you are entering to possess. So like I said, multiply, it's always about growing. It's always about more life being given on the earth. You know, there is going to be a baby boom for the Israelites in the kingdom of heaven. The biggest baby boom the earth has ever seen. Man, where it must be at the top of the chapter, because I didn't. Let's see. I'm starting to wonder, is it even Deuteronomy 30? I thought it was, could have sworn it was Deuteronomy 30. And I can't remember how it's worded. But basically, it was said in the NLT. Every or NET. It might have been NIV. I think it was NIV. Every male, every woman, male and cattle would have children. You know, it would have offspring. I forgot exactly where it said. I can't remember how it's worded in the KJV. Let's see if I can find it. I know it's in Deuteronomy. It's like it. It's gotta be. I could have sworn it was 30, but I might be off. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Is it Deuteronomy? It probably was Deuteronomy 7, because I think the verse was 14. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7. Yep. Deuteronomy 7 and 14 in the NIV. You will be blessed more than any other people. None of your men or women will be childless, nor will any of your livestock be without young. So again, in the kingdom of heaven, there will be a major baby boom in the for the Israelites, you know. So Lord will, that was edify lesson. When they know, they want to give all praises, honor, and glory to. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. And until next time, shalom.